Good morning, lovely people. How are you? It is so nice to see you here over at the Truly Myrtle podcast. I go live every single week from down here in New Zealand on Thursday mornings out into the YouTubes and the Facebook group. I wonder if I've got you all here today. Let's just see who's on. Say hi to me in the chat. The nice thing about this is you can chat to me in the chat. So say hi in the chat and tell me, I have both of you, Facebook and YouTube. Nice to see you all. Oh, you're in Fiji, Christine. Are you in Fiji? Hang on. No, Christine's in Fiji. Kim's in Fiji. California and Fiji watching New Zealand. Who's in Fiji? I'm just feeling really envious. Christine is in Fiji, having a lovely time. There's people from California. There's people from New Zealand. There's people from Orange County. Here we are. Look, that's California. This is so exciting. Have I got no sound? Have I got no sound? Let me just check the situation. I should have sound. Tell me if you can hear me. People have sound. Yay, good. I'll bring you closer. Clearly I can't hear you, so that's a bit of a bother for me, but never mind. We've got fun things to chat about today. Oh, good, you can hear me. You make me panic, you guys. You make me panic that you can't hear me. I feel like I need to bring the microphone closer. I'll just shout, shall I? Sound is good. Perth in Western Australia, sound is fine. Karen can hear. Sue says it's loud and clear. Hi Fiona in Cornwall, you're knitting in bed. Fiona, I couldn't think of a better place to be right now. Knitting in bed, it sounds really good. Hi Lynn, nice to see you and Michelle. So many of you, I can't see you all. Littleton, I can see. That's Alexa. Sharon said she's just back from a 3-week road trip to South Australia. Oh, goodness me. Lots of people on holidays at the moment. It feels really, I'm living vicariously with all you people on holiday. Hey, Ivor from Canada. Nice to see you. Okay, so I've got a few things to talk to you about today. I'm going to talk to you about, I did another poll in my mini mag last week. So interesting. After my rather long-winded podcast last week, I did a poll. I'll tell you about that. Now, before I forget, because I forgot to tell you this last week, I wanted to tell you about the website, so I'm going to tell you about that, and I'm also going to talk to you about Kuri, which is the new shawl that's coming next week. I got some new glasses, Lynn. I thought I'd just have a change. They're reading glasses. They don't quite fit right yet, but we'll see. I just got them online, I just bought them because I've got my other ones, and I thought I just fancied a change for summer. I'll probably mix and match. So the website, I wanted to tell you that when you buy patterns from the Truly Myrtle website, it's a really good idea to make an account. So make an account and log in. If you've already been before, log into your account. Because what happens on the Truly Myrtle website, which is going to have a major overhaul when I get a chance, and I haven't really had a chance lately, but I will at some point. May not be this side of Christmas, but I will try. When you log in and you buy a pattern logged in, the pattern is saved in your account. So you can come back to the Truly Myrtle website and you can download that pattern as many times as you like. There is a limit at the moment of about 10. I think that's just so computer bots don't get in there and download. But if you have already downloaded it 10 times and you say, oh my goodness, I still need another copy, then you just tell me and we'll change that for you as we go. So, but you need to be logged in. Now, one of the great things is if you buy a pattern from me now and you create an account and log in and you buy a new one, because I can't do it without you doing this, but if you make an account and log in and buy a pattern and then you say, hey, I've got an account and I've bought a pattern, but I've actually already bought 3 patterns from you and I didn't log in, then I can put those patterns in your account. But I can't create the account. I can't give you a pattern without an account. You need to do that part. This is what I think is the way it works. But I can flesh out your order. I need an order from you to flesh out with other things you can access. And then you'll go to your page in your account that says downloads and it will have the patterns that you already have. It just means that you can get them wherever you are for as long as you want. And makes it easier for you. I know that a lot of people still use Ravelry, and that is fine. You can get my patterns on Ravelry, but there are so many more options now. And although I do always recommend that you put your patterns in somewhere that is like on your computer or a hard drive or somewhere that you've got it printed out so that you know you've got it, because you just don't know what's going to happen. I do recommend that, but you can a lot of people are wanting to use things that are not Ravelry, so I have the ability on my website for you to have an account and you can get your patterns. So that's really good. Oh, Maureen, you couldn't get on this morning. You felt like Maureen. No, mates, never. Hey, Rebecca, it's nice to see you from sunny Melbourne. And I bet that, now who's from Florida, Tampa, Florida? I bet it's sunny there. Knit, Pearl, Repeat. Who's that? It's nice to see you. Alrighty, so that I forgot to tell you that last week, and I had a couple of people that have bought things and then couldn't access them, and I realized it's because they were one particular person was away and she wanted to access the pattern, and it's because she didn't have an account. So although she'd bought it from me, she couldn't go back and grab it again. It just keeps it in a safe place for you. So do that. That would be great if you do that. Okay, so first thing is, what am I wearing? I'm wearing Urchin. I thought I'd tell you about what I'm wearing because people always ask, and then I might as well let you know. So, I was on as Knit, Pearl, Repeat. That's your knitting podcast. Oh, nice to see you, Jessica. Knit, Pearl, Repeat. I feel like I might know your podcast. Do I know your podcast? Yes, I think I might. But anyway, it's nice to see you. Hey, Susan from Oregon. Nice to see you. So I'm wearing Urchin. Now, I had a coffee with a couple of knitters this week, and one of them was wearing Urchin, and she said she's made it 3 times, I think. Is that right? She might be watching today. 3 times, and she's modified it and done different things to it, and she's a member of Wardrobe Toolbox. And so it's always a real thrill for me to see how much everybody has learned, and the gumption and the excitement that they have about making modifications to make things fit them, and so it's always a thrill. So she was wearing an Urchin that looked not like an Urchin, it was something else. Oh yes, Ruth, yeah, here she is, Ruth. She wore it 3 times, yeah. So that's always a real thrill for me to see, and it's really interesting actually how many people love this pattern, particularly when I tell you the results of the poll that I did last week, and you'll have to tell me if you agree with that poll. If you didn't vote in it, then you should have, because I've got some data now, and that might influence what I do, unless you guys make sure you tell me what you want. So anyway, Urchin is a drop shoulder. She is a really sweet little summer top. She's got a nice little V-neck, just with a really simple finish. She has this little pattern down the side that does not interrupt your bra. So you don't see your bra. I mean, you'll see a bit of side bra, but you don't really notice that. So I just wanted it away from the central portion, so there wasn't any lace. I just didn't want to have all this exposed. So that's down the side. And then she started at the top. She's one of our drop shoulders that we talked about last week. She's got a nice bit of shoulder shaping that happens up here. You do the back first, and the back is plain. And then you come back and you pick up the front and you knit her down, you do the shaping for the neck, and then you join her under the arms. And then she's one of these ones I talked about last week where you can slot a sleeve in that fits you. I mean, you can do so many things with this basic shell, as Ruth has discovered. But you can slot a sleeve in, and so you have this nice little cute sleeve that has this little finish on the end with the eyelets and the rib. You can make that as long as you want. Some people have made it right down to their elbows or longer, and then she just is square, and she goes down. I've just tucked her in at the front today, but I like tucking my tops in a little bit at the front. And so, but she just has this little square body. Now you could put bust darts in her. You could put a bit of shaping through here. There's lots of ways to modify her. So this is Urchin. Oh, good, Jean. She said she's knitting it at the moment. It's a great knit. Yeah, it's fun. She's easy. She's easy to wear. She's really effective. I use a commercial yarn for this. It's really slubby. It's got all sorts of interesting bits and pieces in it. I think it's got rayon and viscose, and I don't know. It's got all sorts of stuff in it, bit of linen. So it's cooler to wear in the summer months, but you can totally change up the yarn and make her wildly different. So I like her. She's good. She's a good little knit, and she has been hugely popular. So she's a drop shoulder. This is a drop shoulder, and interesting. Let me tell you the results of this poll. I did a poll last week because I did a podcast last week that was, as I was doing it, and I got towards the end, I thought, this is 6 podcasts, Libby. What are you doing? Like, you're giving them a podcast with all this information, but this is actually 6 podcasts. And so I will come back to it. And my mum rang me the minute I finished, and she said, you lost me You lost me after set-in sleeves. I was starting to understand the set-in sleeves, top down, and then you moved on to the next one, and you just lost me. And I thought, yeah, I know, because it was a lot of information crammed in. If you are a knitter who's familiar with the top down, you just want to understand the constructions of a variety and how they differ, it would be a great podcast episode for you. So I think it's 169 is the podcast number. I've started numbering my podcasts again, even though technically we're probably up to 300 or something, but we missed a whole lot in the middle, which were in my Facebook group. But anyway, 169. It's a really good, it's a race through, like a chariot through a whole landscape of top-down knits. But I will come back to that. So this is the set-in sleeve from that. And then so on the back of that podcast, because I've got some really great ideas of how I can talk to you about all of them individually, so you can wait for that. On the back of the podcast in my mini mag last week, I then did a little poll because I've got this ability to do polls and it's so interesting asking you what you think. So I did a poll and I said, okay, what is your favorite? Drop shoulder, raglan, yokes, or set-in sleeves? I just gave you the 4 basics. There are others. Of course there are others, and I've made patterns with others, but I just wanted to stick to the four core styles, constructions, top down. We're thinking top down. The results have really surprised me, actually. So set-in sleeves, which everybody tells me they suit. Everybody says, not everybody, I'll take that back. 99% of you will tell me that you like a set-in sleeve. Everyone says, they're amazing. They sort of suit everyone. They're just fantastic. Well, only 26% of you wanted a set-in sleeve. 26%. That's about a quarter of you. What shocked me was that nearly half of you voted for raglans, the raglan sleeve like that. I don't hear you proclaim a love of raglans. This is just so interesting to me. So tell me in the chat, is this you? I mean, are you someone that's a secret raglan lover, and then when you get a chance to vote anonymously, you just vote for the raglan? Because you can say it out loud if you want to, that's fine. So if half of you wanted a raglan, and then yokes, and you know the popularity of yokes. How many yokes are there out there right now? Colorwork yokes for crazy. So many yokes. How many people wanted yokes? Just under 20% wanted a yoke. And then drop shoulders, which is this. Everyone loves this top. They just want to make this top. They've made 3 of this top. There's so many of this tops. 11%. 11% of you wanted a drop shoulder. So my head exploded. I did not appreciate this is what everyone was thinking. Raglans. Half of you wanted raglans. So I thought, how interesting is that? I don't have any raglans planned at the moment. So I might have to rethink that. I might have to rethink whether I've got a raglan coming for you. So I'm just going to read your comments and let me see what you say. So are the patterns no longer in my library, Shona? Shona, you're talking about the Truly Myrtle website. They should all be in your library if you have an account. If you have an account with Truly Myrtle and you buy your new pattern logged in, you know how you go to websites now and they ask you to log in? And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. When you're buying them from Truly Myrtle, do log in, because what it means is it saves it for you in your downloads. So, Shona, if you were logged in when you bought the pattern, it's in your downloads. If you weren't logged in, let me know, because we can search for all the ones you've bought using your email, even if you weren't logged in, and then we can add them to an existing order. But in order to do that, I need an order to add them to. So you can't just say, oh, by the way, now I just want all them in an account. I've made an account. I really need you to order so I can add them to that order. It's just a technical thing. So they will be there, Shona. And if they're not there, let me know. Kim said she's knitted 2 of these so far. Linda said she's knitting her second Urchin in Fire Engine red silk, and it looks fantastic. I bet it does. Oh, Jessica with her podcast. It's brand new. Only 1 episode so far. Eek, that first one. I'm working on my Rhinebeck one. I got some great yarns for Wardrobe Toolbox to cast on in my October project. Oh, that's so good. I'm so looking forward to seeing that. We'll have to go and check you out. Hi from Wyoming, USA. Nice to see you. Jean's also knitting this one at the moment. Urchin. Hi, Mary. Okay, Jean said, I'm the 1% that looks awful in a set-in sleeve. Yes, well, this is, I hear, there are people, most people say it's fantastic, and then there's people that say not for me. And I've told you the story of my sister already. I've told Wardrobe Toolbox, but my sister and I have a different physique, and she is broader, a little bit broader in the shoulders, broader across the back, much fuller bust than I am. She's taller than I am. She's got longer legs than I have, and she tried on all my knits. She's bigger than me all over. She tried on all my knits before she left to go to the UK, because she was trying to decide what she wanted to knit and what she would wear and not wear. And we laid them all out on the bed, and she just spent a big session trying them on. And we were both a bit surprised. The satin sleeves looked shocking on her. I mean, shocking is too hard a word, but they really didn't suit her. They just accentuated her wider back at the back, it's particularly the back. And also the drop shoulders, they just created a line across the part of her arm. She didn't want the line, but the yokes and the raglans were amazing. Now, often we hear that big busts and wide and sort of broader shoulders aren't going to work with a yoke. Raglans, yes, because you have those lines that point, they cut areas up for you, so they create a different illusion. But the yoke, we were a bit surprised. Now, I think that is in huge part because of the way I do a low slung yoke, because it wasn't like a Elizabethan pattern around her neck. It was low slung, and it just created, I don't know, there was something about it with all of the separation through. It was down off her shoulders. It was very, very flattering on her. So there we go. Really interesting. Shona says she loves a satin sleeve. It's more tailored. It's definitely tailored. There's definitely quite a crisp look you can create with a satin sleeve. I like it. I actually really like a satin sleeve. I like knitting them. I don't always like designing them, I have to be honest, because it can be a real challenge to make it work across the sizes. It really can be a challenge. You're confined with certain row counts, and you'll find that people don't really change much in shoulder width, not a heck of a lot, and they don't change a heck of a lot in their shoulder depth. So you've got these constraints for the top and the depth, and then you get to here and you get to under here, everything is suddenly changes quite a lot. And so trying to create the shaping in knitting so that it doesn't look bunchy and you get this lovely curve through the arm, that is a bit of a challenge, particularly if you have a pattern that you want to be fairly cohesive across the sizes. I tell you, it can really do my head in. 15 sizes, it's just crazy. So, but I really like wearing them. I think they do look quite good on lots and lots of people, and well, but apparently only a quarter of you seem to think that. So we'll see. Charlotte says, I love a raglan sleeve. It's me. All right, we're going to do more raglans. Raglan says she loves a raglan. Ruth says no, she's a satin girl. Andrew said she's making her first urchin. This is one of these in Antigone, which is 100% linen. Oh, it'll be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. Have been sidetracked making my first pair of socks. Oh, yes. Oh, good. Oh, Andrew, enjoy that. Oh, hi, Jenny. Nice to see you from Maury Bay, California. Is that right? Katie says, I love a raglan. Jessica loves raglans. I've not done a set-in yet. I missed out on voting. Circular will never fit me quite right. Maybe I should do the voting again so that those people who are watching, you make sure you're on my mini mag. So you have to go to trulymyrtle.com/mini mag to sign up. Just go to my website, trulymyrtle.com, and you'll be asked to join if you want. And then maybe I'll do it again this week, and we'll just see if it changes. I don't think I can do the same poll, and you have to vote once, and if you vote another time, it'll just take your second result. So just vote once, and then it will take you to a page, and it will show you all the results. Hi, Tracy. Nice to see you. Michelle just said she couldn't make up her mind. She just likes them all. I think there is a place for them all, Michelle. Barbara said she missed the poll, but her order of preferences: yoke, raglan, drop shoulder, and set in. Interesting, Barbara. Sabrina says, I find with raglan and circular yokes, there is no need to pick up stitches for a sleeve cap, and many are hesitant to do the short row sleeve caps. Oh, do you think? Okay, because the thing about a short row shaping in the sleeve cap, it's a bit like socks. Once you've got it, it's like magic happens on your needles, and it's just amazing, and you realize you're like a wizard and you're creating this incredible thing, and it just feels so easy, and all of a sudden you've just created this lovely shoulder. It's so nice. So I do like a set and sleeve. Having said all of this, I think I'm going to do some seamed things as well. I mean, I know I've been saying that for about 18 months. I know I've been saying that. And I have to work myself up into it. I have to say it quite a few times until I honestly start embracing it. I have done one seamed thing, and that's going to come out in January. Actually, it's a wardrobe toolbox pattern. But I think I should. I think I should have a go with some seamed things. I think there are a couple of reasons why I'm thinking this. It's not just to annoy you, although it might. But one of the reasons is because with a seamed garment, particularly a raglan, you guys, it's so much more structure, because depending on the yarn you choose, or in spite of the yarn you choose, if you have a raglan that is knitted from the top down, you will never have the same structure. It will not be as polished for as long. It just won't. It just doesn't have that structure. Having the seaming does make a difference for a raglan. Secondly, from my point of view, if I'm grading something that is like all over cables or has something that grows out of the raglan, I think a seamed is going to make my life quite a bit easier. So I think the decreasing away, because you knit from the bottom up, decreasing away things like cables is easier than growing a cable out of a pattern. So I think I just want to have a go at it anyway. So we'll see. I haven't quite got there yet, and I keep having ideas, and they're all top down and in the round. So it might take some time. Okay, but let's see what else you say. Charlotte says, I found raglan the easiest. That's probably why I like it the best. Yeah, from a knitter's point of view, it is lovely. It is lovely because you're just working, and you're doing the increases and you follow the pattern. It's lovely. Yeah. But again, you still run into that challenge where you have a certain amount of rows and the certain amount of stitches you need to get to. It's a really interesting challenge from a maths point of view. Robin says, I've never knit a raglan, but I'm itching to try one. Kim says, I miss voting too. I would have said raglan and then set in. Okay. Marie says, I like and set a raglan sleeve because they sit nicely and they look smart. Katie said she's not done a drop shoulder yet. Yeah. Lynn also likes knitting a raglan, but she loves the look of a set in sleeve. Okay, so that would be the challenge, isn't it? How do we create the ease of a raglan with a set in sleeve? For those people who like the set in sleeve, which apparently is only 20% of you, so we'll see. Maybe it's because of the ease thing. Michelle said, I prefer set and then yoke. Raglan least favourite because I find the way the increases are done don't fit well on small shoulders and a larger bust. That is the challenge. Michelle, from a drafting point of view. So that's why inside Wardrobe Toolbox, we talk about, you choose the size that fits you here, and we talk about how to do that. We talk about modifications that you can make. In fact, I haven't done a lesson about modifications down a raglan. I've talked about it with you, but I need to do a proper lesson. I have got actually that in my mind to do, to get the fit that you want, but then we deal with our bust later. Like, we can start thinking about it on the way down, depending on what kind of increases or shaping we want to do for the bust. But essentially, you deal with this down here when you get down there. You might need some more stitches to deal with it that you have to add through here. Depends which way you want to deal with it. But yes, that's why we talk about that, because it is hugely challenging to get the shape right and then to have it all work here as well, because you might end up with a fit that's good across the bust, but then you might end up, if you have just small shoulders, full bust, little waist, let's say you're that shape, you don't want miles and miles of fabric under your bust. So it's just thinking about how to deal with that. Maureen said, I never saw the poll. I'm so indecisive, and I'd probably be a useless person to ask. It will depend on the fabric of the knit. Well, at the end of the day, Maureen, I think that is the key. The fabric that you're creating by swatching is hopefully what will lead you into the construction, the patterning, the size, the drape, and all of those things. It's we're making the fabric first, and hopefully you're now starting to embrace a bit of swatching, and we're getting a sense of what that fabric wants to be, and then from there we can springboard. You can get a pattern and apply fabric to it, but I think it's good to have a good understanding of what the yarn is that you're choosing, and or at least you know the bases and how they behave and the spin and the weight and all of those things. when you're going that route. But if you really are getting a new yarn and you just don't know what it's going to do, swatch it and just see what it wants, and then apply the pattern to that. That would be the way I'd like to. I mean, there's no right one answer, of course, and there's no fixed rules about anything of this, but I think that might be easier. Wayfarer has set-in sleeves. It was my first set-in sleeve, and now I love them and it fits great. I showed you Wayfarer last week with the set-in sleeve, and I'm working on something at the moment that has a fabulous sleeve, and I tell you, when you get it right, it's really good. It is really, really nice. And Wayfarer has a lovely sleeve in that one, and it does. If you can figure it, the shaping, so that it works with the shape of your body, I do think it can look fantastic. Now, one of the things that happened with my sister, of course, is that she is broader than me in the back. And so when she did try on the set-in sleeves that I had, they were stretched across her back. And so it accentuates the wideness of her back comparative to other parts of her and to me. So I think if we had perhaps started with a size, if I could design something that fitted her perfectly across the shoulders and then followed the line of her body and then through under her bust and gave her good shaping through the bust, I wonder if it would be different for her. And we had the right curve at the arm with any extra shaping we want, just to give the right shape at the top of the arm. But this is where we step out of the bounds of the pattern that's written in front of us, and where we start learning about all of the things and all of the tools to take the pattern and not feel that we're totally constrained by that we can just go off on our own in our own direction. And I know, and already I know that there are lots of you in here, and we've seen it. I was talking about it the other day with people, how much I've seen people learn in the last 4 years, nearly 5 years. It's incredible how much I think we've all learned about shaping and fit, and just taking ownership of your patterns. It's really cool. Hi, Catherine. It's a beautiful fall day in Colorado. Oh, I bet it's looking glorious. And the same from northern Vermont. I bet it's looking beautiful there too. Marianne, I didn't answer the poll because I haven't got one. Favourite. I like all the sleeves. For me, the rest of the design will determine the sleeve. However, perhaps I wear styles that I shouldn't. I don't think there's a should and a shouldn't, Marianne. I really don't think there is. I think there might be things that you put on and you think, hit the jackpot with this one. This is great. But so many things will be colour and design and ease and how you're feeling, and I don't know. But there will be some of you who will just say, absolutely no way, can't wear that style. It just looks terrible on me. And if that, if you feel that very strongly, then definitely don't wear it. Hi, Pat. Nice to see you. Shocking is a good word, says Jean. Oh, good. I'm knitting Urchin as I'm listening to you. See, look, a lot of people are making this one. And that was what was so interesting. Becky said it was a big surprise to find drop shoulder wasn't the best for me. Set-in sleeve yokes and raglan give me a better shape. So, and Ginny says she's made the one that I'm wearing. Look, this is what was so surprising to me, that you voted against the drop shoulder, when actually, depending on the pattern, it can work even if you feel it can't. And so for something like this, if you're fuller in the bust, this is where we really want to think about what is happening up here and how much extra fabric do you want here, and do you want it to be closer in? Do you want to make some adjustment under the arms and then add either darts or princess lines or some other shaping for a fuller bust? Because that's the problem. If you fit a fuller bust with a set-in sleeve, you end up with, a lot of fabric at the top that you might not want. So that, anyway, it's interesting. Helen says, but in the right fabric, that's what I was going to say, but in the right fabric, this is like a light, breezy sort of fabric. It's not a huge oversized top. It's just a nice little neat fit. And I actually think that we've seen a lot of oversized garments and they're fun, but I think that particularly the demographic of you people that I see following me, which tend to be, I know there are people who are younger, I know because you tell me, but there does seem to be a proliferation of people around 40, 50, 60, 70. That seems to be a lot of, because we're all in the we're sort of in the same life area. And I don't know how much we like wearing really, really giant clothes. I'm not seeing it. I see us wanting to wear things that are trying to accentuate what we still have going for us. So I think, just trying to give ourselves a bit, I think, your whole attitude about everything changes as you get older. And I think, anyway, I just see you not wanting to wear massive clothes. That's my perception. Helen says, I do love a raglan, a drop shoulder or a yoke, and I usually actually avoid drop shoulder patterns. I would really like to try a contiguous shoulder and a saddle shoulder, which I've tried. Yeah, me too. I'd like to design a contiguous because I think that just for a challenge, I think that would be really fun. And I think you get a lovely fit with a contiguous. I'm having a play around with something at the moment for the wardrobe toolboxes. You'll be getting it in December, and I'm enjoying the fit of it. I think it's it's another fun one. I think it'll be good. Alexa said, I started lifting heavy weights about 8 years ago and my shoulders have changed enormously. I bet they have, Alexa, actually. I bet they have. Shona says, the low slung yoke looked lovely on you. I would prefer it. Yeah, I think there's something about that low slung yoke. I talked about that a couple of podcasts ago. The caps are why I didn't vote for set in sleeves. Right, yes. The caps, yes. So it's just getting the right fit, Diane, at the caps. There is a lot. Look, we're told that set-in sleeves are the hardest to change, and on some respects they are. And if you're doing a seamed garment, then I would agree with that. But I actually think set-in sleeves, where you're doing a top-down short row sleeve, we cover this in Wardrobe Toolbox, that it's not a mystery. We can totally do it. We can totally make adjustments to make them fit you better. And Oh, thanks, Pat. The top I have on is called Urchin. So this is the one lots and lots of people are saying they've made. Sabrina says, I do like the set-in sleeve, and Ginger Bliss is an all-time favourite to be repeated. Right. So that is a different sleeve, and I showed it to you very briefly at the end with the cap that goes over your shoulder. And I'm playing with that idea because I like the way I like a fit where it sort of sits on the top of my shoulder. It feels very comfortable. So I have been playing with that idea, and I've got some more ways I want to play with it. Some of the ways I've done it so far are Ginger Bliss, which has that, shaping at the back, and then the shoulder curves over, and Alex, which is a Wardrobe Toolbox pattern, has that, and Rita, which is also a Wardrobe Toolbox pattern. They all have that shoulder. But if you also think about things like my Serpentine, my Paloma, what else have I got? Paloma, Serpentine, and Neve. No, it's not Neve. I always say that lately, don't I? But she's not called Neve. Perhaps I need a pattern called Neve, the blue one, where they have the panel that you knit down like that, and then you either carry it all the way down your arm or you stop it or whatever. I've done a variety of iterations of that. That is actually a nice fit too. I like that because you've actually created a wedge for your shoulder. And we talked the other week about Rebel, and Rebel has the shoulder shaping in a drop shoulder that actually almost puddles on the top of your shoulder here. It's a really nice fit. So there are things you can do. You can see I'm a total geek about garment fit. I just find it so interesting. It's so interesting, and thinking of different ways to create that fit. I just find that totally fascinating. Putting it into paper and trying to wrestle a pattern so that it's really not 50 pages long and it's really short and it has a good flow and there's a key in there. That can be really hard. That's really challenging. Fiona says, I love a raglan and most yokes. The yoke on Maeve, however, emphasised my large bust in a very unflattering way, and you still love wearing it though. So Fiona, and the other thing about Maeve, of course, is that she's a chunkier yarn. And there's not a lot going on. There's no distractions here. So it's very plain through the top, and so you've got nothing to break it up. I think what I would do to try and mitigate some of that expanse, because that's what you're seeing, you'll just be having an expansive fabric, is utilizing some accessories, I think. And maybe you already do this, but I would pull the eye to the center and break up that line a little bit with some accessories. And whether that's a necklace, you could have, a couple of necklaces, a pendant that drops down. You have to decide whereabouts you want that to hit you, or a couple of places, or shawls, things like that might help just break up that what has ended up being a big space for you, I suspect. Knitting flat patterns, fantastic. Knitting flat pattern. Yeah, I think I want to try have a go at that. I'm wearing Urchin. Yes. I started knitting Aran and cable jumpers with set in sleeves. Top down is relatively new to me, so I seem to be working in the opposite direction. Yeah, look, there are so many options for us to choose from in terms of knitting patterns, and I just want to do them all, really. That's the thing. Ruth loves top down seamless. She said they're the best. Yeah, I just want to try them all. I think that's my thing. I just want to try them all, and I just want to get good at it, really good at it, and understand everything. I just like knowing everything. Yarn Motivated Joyce says raglan is my jam. Lynn, contiguous. Yeah, contiguous is one I want to really try, Lynn. We had a masterclass about contiguous knits, didn't we, inside Wardrobe Toolbox. So if Katie, go and have a little look. We had a talk about how they're done, and it wasn't Katie who wanted to do one. It was someone else, I think. But yeah, have a little look if you're in there, the other person, and that was really interesting about how to do those. Andrea said, I love knitting the sleeve cap on Ginger Bliss. Yes, and so does Fiona. She loves knitting a sleeve cap. It keeps me going on sleeve, onto the sleeve and staying there. It stops me going on Sleeve Island and staying there. Yeah. For anyone who's daunted by short rows, try making the emotional support chicken. It's all shaped by easy short rows, and it really shows the magic. Great idea, Karen. I think it's just doing it. Sometimes it's just having a go and doing it. And that emotional support chicken looks very, very cute. I think that it's just a matter of doing it. Now, for those of you in Wardrobe Toolbox who are nervous about short rows, I'll see if I can remember to post it in our lounge, but we have got a whole lesson about short rows, and I compare different ones for you, and then we talk about why and which ones and how to use them. And so that's quite good just to sit down and have a feel of, and you can come back to watch that as many times as you want. Contiguous sleeves have a set-in sleeve with the ease of doing a raglan, no short rows. Yeah, so there's a few ways. I won't go into all the details, but there are a few ways that of achieving that, and I really like this. That's what I like experimenting with. Susan says raglans fit me so well. You got small shoulders. And Anna, actually I was talking about you the other day, Anna, because we were saying how we just love all the photos you've been taking lately, and it's like you've just hit that, what do you call it? Sweet spot or something. I've just watched your knitting. It's so good. She says, I like everything knitted one piece top down. I have knitted all types of sleeves and feel comfortable working with them all. And it's evident, actually, Anna, in the amount that you've knitted. You have really thrown yourself into knitting so much stuff. And you've just, I don't know, it's just, I feel like you're on fire. It's really good. It's lovely watching all the things you make. AP, raglan fits me well too, but I have quite wide but bony shoulders. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. So you'll find things to hang off your shoulders. So having a really good structure there will be important to you. I mean, it is for everyone, but for you, because that is such a feature for you, and you don't want some sloppy look up there. So thinking about ways to create a bit more structure at the top, and you haven't said what your bust does, but it might be that it's kind of not disproportionately small, but it might be, you might just have, your shoulders might be your feature. And I think there's a lot of flexibility with that, but a good fit there is obviously essential. Michelle said, I've learned a lot, but now I have a fix-it pile to go back and improve sweaters that haven't worked the first time. Lengthen a hem, fix a neckline, completely rip and put in better shaping. And it's so worth it, Michelle. It is so worth it. And in fact, I was thinking about Becky the other day too, who's here. Oh, there's Becky. Becky I remember she made her floozy and then she made it again, Becky, and it looked, just the transformation was extraordinary. It's such a sexy cardigan on you, I thought. From going from kind of too big and a bit shapeless to really, it was just knockout, and you ripped it back and did it again. And I've seen quite a few people do that. There's someone else whose name I've forgotten. She's in Australia, and she did that with her dolly, and it's worth it. It's so worth it. Just having a go at it. You just feel like, woohoo, I'm on top of the world. It's fantastic, I imagine. Emma says, love that top. You just ordered the yarn. Now you've got to buy the pattern from Ravelry. Yes, Emma. And so don't forget, I've already said to everyone that was already here, if you do decide to buy them from my website, then make an account, and then you can sign in and buy your patterns, and they will be stored for you in downloads. So you can always go back and grab them again and again and again, and you'll just see all your patterns there from Truly Myrtle in that spot. Charlotte said, I'd like to try a saddle shoulder too. Yes, I think so. Yes. Becky said, having said drop shoulder doesn't work, I have a Rebel that works well because of the yarn I used. It's woolly and holds its shape. Yeah, it's just a whole it's a whole picture going into this, and I think that's the point that we really get home in Wardrobe Toolbox. It's not one thing, there's not one magic answer. We're looking at a whole picture here, and we're going into this with lots of different tools at our disposal, and are broadening our knowledge on a range of areas. Maureen, can I ask, what is a contiguous shoulder? So the thing about a contiguous shoulder is you pick up around the shoulder, so you sort of knit straight out. You see, I think you could kind of do it, it's like a modified raglan. You could do that too. So you knit straight out, and then you pick up stitches all the way around, and then you create the sleeve cap out of the shoulder. It's just a slightly different way of creating it at the top. I just haven't wrapped my head around grading it all, so I need to think about that for different sizes. The top I'm wearing looks great. I know you may have said, but is it linen? It's a mixture of fibers. And somebody actually, Ruth, you could pop it in the chat, because you just made one in the same yarn recently, and it's quite a slubby, it's got a bit of linen in it. It's a commercial yarn, and it's got, I can't remember, I think it's got some cotton in it. I can't remember all the things in it. It's quite a few things in it from memory. And someone else is asking as well, so we'll pop that in. Your Urchin doesn't look drop shoulder. I don't choose the drops because I feel they drag down. So this is where we go back again to the yarn and the lightness of the knit, and it's not so big on me, and it will grow, and I will wash it, and it's a bit like jeans, and that's partly the fabric, but it isn't. Look, it comes out to here. It's a little square, this top, and so I think if you don't go for something that's like massively oversized, essentially we've got a drop that finishes at the bottom of where we would expect our sleeve cap to drop. And so it's not that far out from my body. And I have got a little bit of shaping under here, I think. Did I do that, or did I not do that in this one? I can't remember now. But it's pretty close to me, and I think that helps it work better. It's in just that, the combination of fabric and closeness. Sersha. You can't spell it properly. Sersha says, I didn't say that. Francesca's saying that, so I'm just repeating what she's saying. But no, that isn't quite correct. It's S-A, it's all the vowels. It's S-A-O-I-R-S-E, I think. Sersha. Is a raglan. Yarn is DMC Natura, this one. DMC Natura, and it has some linen in it. Yeah, you would love a DK Rebel. You wear a looped scarf over Maeve and have thought I might make another on a larger size needle or a bigger size for more drape and less fitting over the bust. And what about, Fiona, what if you tried your Maeve with a lighter yarn? Or if you did your Maeve with the stockinette side showing? I just think those two things, I just wonder how they would go too. They might be quite interesting. Stephanie did it with her dolly. Thank you, Becky. Yes, she did. Stephanie re-knitted her dolly. There are so many chats here. Let me just, I can see you've got some questions. What's the rule? So I'm not sure what your full name is, Jay Greenwood. What's the rule for the difference between upper bust and full bust for the need to shape for full bust? We talk about that inside Wardrobe Toolbox and give you ideas, and it's about measuring down on both sides. And I have a little kind of cheats thing for you. The busts in off-the-shelf knitting patterns are designed on the whole, unless they say otherwise, for a B to C cup. And so if you have, and we talk about depths, because one of the things is if you have too much fabric that you're creating in a bust start horizontal one, you're going to make it's like you're creating this pocket. You just got this big pocket, baggy pocket. You don't want to do that. So you have a bit of negative ease there. But we use this measurement to take our upper bust. It's a whole big thing. In fact, I'm going to go back. I think I'm doing it at the end of this season. I have to look at my list. But another whole bust start deep dive into some other things to do with bust starts as well. It's just another whole podcast. I'll talk about that in another whole podcast. Juniper Moon's Zoe is a similar content of cotton and linen. I knit my first Urchin in it, and it was a good choice. Oh, brilliant. So this is thank you, Sabrina and Ruth and Helen. Oh, brilliant. You're all great. So they've all told me the linen in this is 58%. The viscose is 26 and 16 cotton. There we go. So over half is linen. A good whack of viscose. Now viscose is going to be a bit more drapey. It's going to give it a little bit more of a wriggly feeling. And then 16% cotton, and that's going to add just a little bit of weight to it too. So and I guess some smoothness. And I'm suspecting that the linen in here, the slubbiness, I don't know what the slubbiness will probably be the linen. I'm thinking it's not everywhere, but it's got slubs through it, so it gives it a little bit of texture. It's nice. Oh, you've all got different amounts. Oh no, here we go. No, Ruth. Oh no, you have. You just put them in different orders. Oh, thanks, Jen. Yeah, so you're Jen. 58 linen, 16 cotton, 26 viscose. So when we're thinking about that and we're thinking about a drop shoulder, then we're looking for that happy marriage between yarn and pattern and construction and all of those things when we're bringing them together. And this works for that. Now, I have the benefit, of course, of finding a yarn. The way I work is I find a yarn and I say, what do you want to be, little yarn? What do you want to be? And I knit it and I look after it and stroke it and feed it nicely. And I say, what do you want to be? And I listen, and then it tells me and I make something with it. And so I have the benefit of starting with the yarn and then the pattern grows out of that. Sometimes I have an idea, loose idea, and I get some yarn. I think that might fit my loose idea. Sometimes I'm really way off and I'm wrong and I change my mind. And other times I just adapt the pattern that I'm a loose idea and I adapt it to fit the yarn I'm working with. So yeah, it's fun. It's a good place to start. Okay, I haven't talked to all the other things I wanted to talk to you about. Oh my gosh, and it's nearly been an hour. You see, we could talk about this endlessly. I have got a pattern coming out next week and I just wanted to tell you a few more things about it. I will talk to you about it a bit more next week, but I thought just in case you want to get ready and you want to do some swatching and you want to find some yarn, it is Kuri. It is this shawl here, the Kuri shawl. She's a tartan shawl. She's knitted side to side. You start at the corner and you work your way. I think you start at this corner. No, you don't. You start at this corner. I think that's right. You start at that corner and you work your way up. So you start with a little tiny wedge and you work your way up and it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows all the way up. And then when you're finished, you do an I-cord border across the top with these buttonholes in it. You pick up down all down the side. You pick up down that long side and you do an I-cord, and that's how you finish her. And then you're knitting colours into her as you go for all of these horizontal stripes, and then you come back after. It's hugely meditative. You come back afterwards and you do the vertical stripes. So I talked to you a little bit last week about yarn, and it's a DK yarn. I used these 3 DK yarns. I used that went with it. And what was interesting, I just wanted to say a couple of things to you about that this week. The first one, and I made mine with the DK, so she's cozy. She's really warm and cozy, and we'll talk a bit more about how to wear and things next week. But she's really warm and cozy. Now, I know that some of you, including Barbara, who's watching, made theirs with a fingering, because this isn't a Wardrobe Toolbox pattern. So it came out to Wardrobe Toolbox about, oh, look, it's cut me off again. I'm starting to wonder... Cut me off Facebook again. I'm starting to wonder if Facebook has got a limit on time or something. Anyway, sorry about that, Facebook people. You've all just been dropped. You'll have to catch me later. It was a Wardrobe Toolbox pattern. It's available inside Wardrobe Toolbox. It's a good discount on these patterns in there. But everybody has already knitted it. Well, lots of people have knitted it in Wardrobe Toolbox. We will run another knit along for it inside there, and then now everybody else is going to get hold of it. So there are quite a few examples of people that have already made it, and some people made it with a fingering yarn, so it was a little bit smaller. That is an option for you. Now, if you are going to make it with fingering yarn, then you'll need more yarn, because you'll need less yarn. Hang on, what will you need? You'll need less yarn. Your stitches are all going to be tiny. You're not going to... Oh, it was freezing. Sorry about that, Dawn. It's not going to be as big a shawl, because if you use skinnier yarn, your stitches are going to be littler, and with littler yarn, your shawl gets smaller. and you probably won't need enough. The size of the shawl that I've made is the equivalent of about 3 fingering skeins. So it's about 1,200 meters of yarn in a fingering. You achieve roughly the same size, but I only used, what did I use? 800 plus meters, just over 800 meters of a DK yarn. So you'll need yeah, it's just going to end up smaller. You'll need a little bit more yarn than I've said for the DK, but it will end up a bit smaller. So what else have I got to say? You want to, when we're thinking about yarn, if you want to be ready for it, mine is quite a lovely sort of farmy yarn. It's quite a wholesome wool, pure wool, non-superwash wool. You might decide to go for something that's a lot slinkier and drapier that will have quite a different look. You might want to have something that has a bit of silk in it, or maybe something that's just a buttery soft merino, and in that case it doesn't have to be superwash, it could just be buttery soft, in which case you'll have more of a squishy yarn, like a marshmallowy feel to your shawl. So you might decide to do that. As far as colours go, you'll find that this skein, the colourful skein, you don't have to use a colourful skein, but if you want to use a colourful skein, you'll find that on the first pass, when you're knitting the colourful skein, it doesn't change colour a lot. It doesn't really change. So you'll see I started with it's sort of bricky burgundy, and it really got through the brick. By the time I got to the top, it pretty much stayed all brick, and it wasn't until I came back to do the stitching afterwards that I really started to see some of the teals come out. So don't expect to have wildly changing yarn through those contrast, those accent colours until you get back to your other stripes the other way. If you do decide to use this, multicoloured yarn, or maybe a hand spun or some other version of a multicoloured yarn, it will take a while to see that colour come out. I wanted to just talk to you very quickly about swatching, but maybe I'll go into this a little bit more next week. I experimented with colours and patterning and things like that. I've got a couple of swatches where I've done different things. This is what I ended up with. And I just did a swatch like that. Now, you don't have to do a swatch if you don't want to, because to be honest, you're starting with a small portion and you could use this as your swatch at the bottom if you want. But it isn't a bad idea to experiment with how you want to apply the stitches that you knit in. Look, here's one here where I've started. I did a little tutorial to show you how to knit in the stitches that go up these channels. You're left with channels and then you knit the stitches in, and I've got that ready for you so you can see how to do it. I ended up using a back stitch because I liked the low, I don't know if you'll see it so clearly, but I liked the low profile of the back stitch. A lot of people have used a crochet chain. That's a crochet. I've done a couple of things on here. I did a knitted chain, a sewn chain, and I also did a back stitch, and I also did a crochet chain. But I found that this crochet chain and the knitted back chain, I didn't want the high profile of it, but I know it can be a little bit easier for some people. They just like doing it. So you might decide just to go for that instead if you want. But I would experiment with that and have a little play before you launch into it, because it's a lot of stitches. If you decide you get halfway through knitting up your big long strips of shawl and then you think, oh no, I don't really like that, I want to change it, then it's quite a lot to undo. So I would recommend a smaller portion that you just practice on before you go. What else was I going to say? You could also figure out your colours that way, of course. You can work out what colours you like. All right, I think that was the guts of it. I've condensed that considerably, seeing as we've chatted so much about fit. But and I need to include a demo on how to wear Kuri. Yes, I'll show you next week. I'm going to show her how I wear her. We'll talk about putting buttons on. We're going to talk a little bit more about just why we would do some swatching for this. And just a bit more about the pattern. But she'll be out next Friday is when the pattern actually comes out. Alrighty, everybody. Why don't you need to knit more, though, to get the same size? You will. If you want the same size, Helen, you knit more. Absolutely, yes, if you want the same size. But if you're following the pattern as written, you'll have a smaller shawl. But if you want a bigger pattern, you just can keep knitting, of course. But you'll need the equivalent of about 3 skeins of yarn. You'll need about 1,200 meters to get enough to create a big skein. I compared it to my Haven. Haven uses just over 1200 meters. That's 3 skeins. One of those skeins is 480 meters, though. She's quite long. And the proportion of the shawl was fractionally bigger, both width-wise and depth-wise. But yeah, she used just over 1200 meters compared to my Kuri, which used just over 800 meters. So it's quite different. To get the same size, you do need to make sure you've got enough yarn handy. But if you just want to knit the pattern as written, it won't be as big. It'll be smaller. Lynn said, I made mine with my rustic DK, which is the Southland DK. Yes, so Lynn at Fibre to Go has got the same yarn base as this with her colours on it, and she's called it her rustic DK. So you can get that from Lynn as well, from Skeins or from Lynn, skeins.com with a Z. And you post overseas, don't you too, Lynn? And so does Skeins. So it feels very Outlandery, this yarn in this pattern to me. I just loved the combo of it. But I have seen a beautiful sample knitted in a very, very, very soft, low micron merino, and it just is completely different. It's a completely different shawl visually and to touch. She's soft and really sort of baby soft and squishy. And then again, if you go to that sort of fingering weight or even a DK, but you introduce a little bit of silk, you're going to have a totally different look. In fact, I'll try and remember to bring you a shawl where it has got a bit of silk with a DK, and you'll just see the difference between them. Oh, brilliant. Lynn sends overseas. So that's Fibre to Go too. So maybe, Lynn, you'll be able to tell people that the rustic DK is good for the Kuri shawl as well. That will be good. Alrighty, everybody. That was another long one. I keep having long podcasts. I like to think they could be half an hour, but invariably they've been an hour lately. So there's just a lot to talk about with knitting. This is the thing. There is so much to talk about, isn't there? And I was thinking, maybe I'll show you something I'm working on, because I'm finding it very difficult to fit other things around my wardrobe toolbox patterns lately. I'm very, very busy doing a lot of other things. And whether it's the whole, wardrobe toolbox and all of the things we do on there and preparation of lessons and just management of the whole thing, as well as Trudy Myrtle, and I'm, writing my newsletters and all of those things, and don't even talk about social media. I'm just the most useless person on social media. But I really want to do more designing in amongst all this. So I've just got something on the go just on the side, and I've had another couple of ideas that are in my basket there, which I really want to get to. But bear with me. You just have to be patient, because everything seems to take me an age right now. Oh, thank you, Catherine. Okie dokie, everybody. Have a lovely, lovely week. I will see you same time, same place next week. So grab your knitting, tell your friends. Oh, that's what I need to tell you, because we're left with just YouTube now. You need to go like that. You need to click the like button, and that way it'll come in. I will appear in your feed more often, reliably, and also other people will be told about this podcast. And if you subscribe and you do the little bell, it'll tell you when I'm going to go live. So I've been booking in the call, like I've been scheduling my call the day before or the morning of, so you'll be notified about that. All right, everybody, have a lovely, lovely week. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Happy knitting. Bye, everyone.